about how many subs you have. All right, let's see here. You actually thought this would be easy, says Rig Pig, and I can do this no problem. But as I'm doing it for the past 3 months, I can see how much time and hard work it takes. Yeah, that makes sense. But the harder it gets, the more you enjoy it. So it's the learning that you enjoy. I'm glad you brought that up. So if you can enjoy the process of learning about content creation and even struggling at content creation, and that process can be enjoyable for you, then you're really somebody who could possibly get there. Then you're somebody who could actually get there. Because the process is everything. Like, in order to actually be able to punch through and make something like 1,000 videos before you go full time, or 500 videos before you go full time, or whatever it may be, in order to actually get through that process, you need to be somebody who loves the process of making content. And if you don't love it, then you're probably going to fall out of love with it quickly, and you're going to quit. If you don't love the struggle of, like, if you, there's something that Gary Vee says that I actually think is super, super true. And what that is that you need to fall in love with the idea of failing if you want to be successful as a creator. Like, you need to like it when you release a video. And I know that this sounds ridiculous, but you need to like it when you release a video that doesn't perform as well. You need to like it when you fire up a stream and it doesn't get the viewership that you want. Yeah, so the people that are the most successful, like on my Discord server, for example, that are like actually making progress, are the ones that are constantly and obsessively thinking about, how can I improve my thumbnails? How can I improve what I'm working on? How can I obsess over those titles? How can I obsess over that research? How can I, like, they're almost like punishing themselves, if you will, with the amount of work that they're having to do to actually create content. It's almost punishment. It's almost like self-punishment. And these sorts of people are the ones that are the ones that are going to be successful, because they actually love the process of that punishing process of constantly having to improve, of constantly having to work on their edits, constantly having to try to improve that average view duration, whatever it may be, and failing over and over and over again to actually make any real or meaningful progress. That process kind of turns some people on. And if you can fall in love with that process, you can fall in love with being a YouTuber. You also need to fall in love with the idea of, you're not going to understand what the right... One other thing you need to be looking at is successful content creators are always looking for the next opportunity. And so what do I mean by that? They're always looking at what the next big game is. They're always looking at what the next big platform is. They're always looking at what the next big strategy is or whatever to grow their channel. And they're never, ever, ever satisfied with where they're currently at. And so, do you have that in you? Post in chat. Is that something that you have in you? Are you the type of person who's never satisfied with where you're currently at as a content creator? Some people would tell you that is a very unhealthy attribute to have in life. To never be satisfied, right? Oh boy, that sounds like a torturous life to lead. But as a content creator, that's actually an attribute that is quite positive and good, in my opinion. It is quite positive and good, because you need to be the type of person who's always looking at what the next trend is. You need to be always looking at where the next opportunity is and hungry to take advantage of it. Hungry to take a risk. That's the type of personality that ends up succeeding in this industry and really making it. Are you one of those people? If you're that type of person that enjoys that process of always looking ahead, always looking to the next trend, then you're going to be on top, because you're going to know what the best gear is. You're going to know what the best social media platform is. You're going to know how to juice out that algorithm on such and such platform. You're going to hear about that new promotional method. You're going to understand what the next challenge is on YouTube you could make a video about. Always wanting, like, obsessing about what's trending and what's coming next is something that is critically important to successful content creators. Almost all of them are obsessed with that. Almost all of them are completely overtaken by that. Are you? Or is that sort of a grind? Is that something that you have to force yourself to be into? If so, then this may not be the thing for you. This might not be the thing for you. All the most successful people always want more. That's right. And so if you want to be successful as a gaming content creator, if you only take one thing away from this, you have to really be self-aware of what you're thinking about all day. Somebody like me, the reason why I've stuck with this all these years, it's a very punishing field to be in. Somebody like me, all I think about, like when I'm not like just literally with every single spare brain cell I have, I'm always thinking about what the next piece of content is I'm gonna make. I'm always thinking about what's the next stream I'm gonna do. I'm always thinking about how can I optimize that such and such strategy. I'm always thinking about what's my next move going to be. I'm always thinking about those things. Always. And the people I surround myself with that have been able to survive in the industry for 10 plus years, they think the exact same way too. If you aren't always thinking about those things too, or not thinking about those sorts of things with the majority of your time, or with the majority of your spare time, you're not obsessed with it. Maybe you haven't quite found your thing yet. Maybe gaming content creation is just a hobby for you. Maybe it's not the thing that's going to be your career. The reason why I bring that up is that the people that you're going to be competing against as a gaming content creator, they are completely obsessed with this all the time. And so for you to be able to break through versus those creators, you need to somehow get an advantage over them. And generally speaking, the people that work the hardest and they work the hardest to improve nonstop are the ones that win. So are you one of those people? Do you really struggle to keep your motivation up when you're making gaming content? If so, gaming content might not be your thing. Did you know that? You might not actually be a gaming content creator. Deep down, you might be some other type of creator. Let me share a couple examples with you that I've seen in my career of people that started as a gaming content creator, then shifted directions and became wildly successful as a result. And maybe that can inspire you. Maybe you know deep down, this isn't actually your thing, gaming content creation, but you love the content creation part and you love the gaming part. But whenever you try to put those together, you always kind of give up. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Let me know if it sounds familiar to any of you. So here's an example of the type of person I'm talking about. So there's a creator I worked with. He's a former Googler. He was one of my contacts over at YouTube Gaming when we were launching together the YouTube Gaming app and the YouTube Gaming platform. And he started out as a gaming content creator. And as a gaming content creator, he was mildly, let's say, successful. He then became a Googler. He worked for Google. And then he ended up discovering that that wasn't actually his niche. And that his niche was, interestingly, it was lifestyle, health, and fitness was actually his niche. And by pursuing lifestyle and health and fitness, he ended up becoming a wildly successful content creator. I'm talking wildly successful. His name's Alex Costa. He now has his own product line. He has millions of followers on the internet. His Instagram account is massively engaged, and he is just completely balling out as a content creator. He's really set up for success. His revenue's diversified, you name it. He's absolutely crushing it as a content creator. And if he had stayed with gaming forever, then he would have maybe been stuck for a long time. He would have maybe been stuck creating that gaming content forever and maybe never actually broken through as a creator. And he would have never broken outside the box. But somebody like Alex Costa is somebody that constantly experiments, constantly looks for new opportunities, and is always looking for ways to break through. And that's something that I want to share with you guys. You may think in your head that what you're currently doing is your jam and is your thing forever. But guess what? If it's not getting a lot of traction after like 100 or 200 videos or maybe even 300 videos, it's probably not your thing, man. And I'm sorry to say that. I'm so sorry to say that, because I know that you know, you maybe love creating that type of content. But after you make 100, 200, 300 videos about it, and you actually maybe genuinely worked on improving your quality with it and what have you, and you still didn't make any traction happen, I would tell you that that is probably going to end up being more of a hobby for you than it is going to be a career. And I know that that might seem brutal. It might seem hard. It might be a tough pill to swallow. But at the end of the day, I want to tell you that, because if you guys have been having that sort of struggle up to this point, and you haven't been seeing the traction that you think you should be getting, and you have been doing hundreds of videos with it, maybe you should switch niches. Maybe you shouldn't be making gaming content. Maybe you should make content about something that maybe you have, let's say, professional success with, rather than gaming content. Let's say for a living, you do welding. I'm just going to throw out a random example here. If you've made those hundreds of videos and you haven't found their thing, but let's say your real life job is something like, I don't know, I used welding as an example a moment ago. Let's say you're a welder, and let's say you're a really good welder. You could make videos about welding on YouTube, and then it could turn out that that could be wildly successful for you. Like, it could just blow away all the other type of content that you're making. You make content about your area of expertise. People are like, holy crap, finally somebody's making a welding video on YouTube that's worth half a damn. And your first handful of videos after about a year get like 90,000 views, 100,000 views. Whereas all the gaming stuff you were always making didn't get anywhere near that amount of traction. That is a good thing. That is not a bad thing. And I wouldn't view that as being a failure, for example. I would view that as being a success of you testing out different content and then finally figuring out what your niche is. Lots of creators out there go through this experience, and gaming content creation is very much a, like, let's say, starter drug, I guess you could say. That gets people into content creation, but isn't necessarily their path to success. It's like not a starter drug, it's a gateway drug to content creation. So perhaps gaming content creation is the thing that leads to you actually being successful one day. Have you ever considered that? Have you ever considered that? Think about it. Do you have something that you do in your real life job that you are an absolute expert in? Have you ever tried to make content about that if gaming content creation isn't working out for you? Because gaming content creation is one of the most competitive niches there are. And I mean, just on Twitch, for example, you're competing against 10 million streamers here. On YouTube, you're competing against 1 million streamers. And on Facebook Gaming, you're competing against 250,000 streamers. The odds of actually breaking through within gaming as a niche is relatively low. But just to go with the welding example I brought up a moment ago, insert thing you do, maybe you're a chef, maybe you're a carpenter, maybe you're a whatever, who knows? But let's say you're making welding videos. I'm just gonna keep using this welding example. Then you're maybe competing against 10 people. So where are your odds the best? Competing against 10 people for audience, or competing against 10 million people for audience? Where do you think your odds are the best, guys? Let's do a couple calculations here. let me plug that into the probability of success computer. And the result tells us that the niche with welding obviously would have a much higher chance of being a successful content creation venture for you. So think about it. Do you have an area of expertise where you make content that may be able to break through? Let me know. Put it in the comments. Have you ever thought about it? Why not just test out making a video or two with it right now, just to see how it goes? No joke. You may be pleasantly surprised with the results, and you may realize that you're actually the guy for whatever, right? Like the guy for whatever type of content it is, and you never realized it until now.